Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another stream here at Simsport Racing. Today we have round 7 of the GT3 League here. Today we're going to be streaming Tier 2 for you wonderful viewers here on YouTube. You are joining me, Adam Bent, myself. I will be joined tonight by Wouter Vert and Steve Proudly on the cameras. We are here today for round 7 at Kyalami. Good evening, Wouter.
Good evening, and we're at Kyalami today for the season finale, I believe.
Absolutely, a season finale. Are you looking forward to it today?
Oh yeah, Kyalami is a good track for racing, and these drivers are trying to get the last points for the championship. So I think we will be seeing quite a bit of action today.
Absolutely. Well, we know that the Silver Championship has been wrapped up now. We have got Mike Abranosa at the top. He is uncatchable now in this final race, so obviously there's nothing to play for in terms of the Silver Championship. However, if we look at the AM standings, all of these are found on Sim Racing GP website, we can see that there's 15 points between Milan Duma and Denise Pope, so there is a possibility that Denise Pope could actually take the title today with a good result. So we are here obviously at Kyalami, the beautiful circuit in the beautiful country of South Africa. As we jump onto qualifying here, you can see that we have Machinte at the top in the Porsche, with Denise Pope actually currently leading the AM class pole in P6. 23 drivers on the grid for qualifying. Obviously 2 drivers at the bottom so far, not start, no times. However, obviously I'm sure they will have times before the end of qualifying. So Wouter, obviously you're more experienced in this game than I am. You've had more races in this game than I have. Probably raced here more than I have. What car would you be picking for this track?
I mean, I only driven it in the Aston Martin so far, so I might not be the best source to ask this, but I mean a car which is maybe also a bit good with curbs. Some fast corners are in this track. Will be a car to pick.
Absolutely. Well, obviously we can see that Honda is currently leading the AM class with a Porsche at the top of the Pro class. We can see Dennis Verkman here in the Mode 11 car, the 222 Mercedes, with this bright pink LED strips in the front grille. As we are headed now down towards the bottom of the track, also known as League Coupe. We've just been looking at the track and actually found out that there's some interesting names for some of these corners. Absolutely. Well, we can see here as he comes now down towards what I believe is turn 12, also known as Mineshaft. We've seen that some of these corners have some great names, and I'm sure we'll get a lap on board in a moment. So we're going to jump on board in a moment with Dennis Verkman as we head down towards what is actually considered turn 1 here, this little king in the main straight as you head down towards the hill, braking hard into turn 2, Crowthorne, with turn 3 and 4, almost like a chicane with, oh, he's lost it, so straight away lost it in Crowthorne. Coming now through just the sweep up towards Barbecue. I would love to know why that's called Barbecue. If anybody in the comments or in the chat has any idea why, please let us know. And now headed towards the right hand of Sunset. It's a very fast corner. Tends to be a great passing opportunity if you can get a good run towards this turn here now known as Clubhouse. Now a short straight. Sorry.
Yeah, good overtaking opportunity, and here chicane which you can take quite fast into the next overtaking opportunity.
Absolutely downhill. We go uphill slightly before going heavily downhill. The Camberg corner here, obviously we joined him previously at Le Coupe before turn 11. Almost a hairpin there. Go down to probably the slowest part of the track besides the last turn. Now headed towards Mineshaft, a flat out corner in these GT3 cars. For another heavy braking zone here for Crocodiles, turn 13 and turn 14.
Yeah, with Crocodiles having a wide entry, he can probably see some cars trying to dive down the inside while we're going past, going with a big yellow curb on the inside, which you don't want to hit. And then we take the last turn to finish off the lap.
Absolutely. Well, he comes through Cheetah and now into Ingwe before coming down the start-finish straight to complete a lap. Obviously not a clean lap, but it is a lap of Kyalami. So we have 6 minutes 55 seconds left of qualifying. We can see Machente still at the top, only 0.135 seconds separating him and the 275 car of Prince Abranosa in P3, our series championship, well, champion already, with Sylvian Machente now. Here we go, the beautiful black Porsche with some red LEDs at the front, looking very nice. We've got a yellow flag somewhere on the circuit. Obviously, the circuit being quite a long one, actually, almost 4 miles, I believe, if I remember rightly. No, 3 miles long. I'm reading the wrong bit. 4.5 kilometers long. Obviously, lap record here is a 1:42 in a race set by Matt Campbell back in 2020 for the Intercontinental GT Challenge. So technically, Machente has a lap record here. Obviously, this is a simulator, so we can't simulate the actual environment that the real-world drivers would be in. But pro drivers, what times would you see from the pro drivers here, Wouter?
I really won't know. You're throwing me in the deep now. While we're seeing Denise Pope, the leader in the M class in qualifying, within 4 places behind Milan Dauma, her concurrent in the M championship, but she has to finish 2 places in front of him to actually get the championship. So if it stands as we're going now, she has to put a bit of force in it.
Absolutely. Well, we can see now that she is trying everything she can to hold on to that pole position. She has got 4-car gap. However, none of those are AM drivers, and obviously she needs AM drivers to finish ahead of Milan Duma to get those points she needs to then be considered as AM Series champion for Tier 2. So obviously there's a lot of work to be done here for the Wild Things racer.
Yes, and you're seeing Milan Dauma. Actually, they'll be 13 in this qualifying, are almost all in the same second, so that will be pretty close for the race, I assume.
Absolutely. Well, he's now jumped to P7, so there's now only 1 car between Pope and Duma, and it's actually I believe that is our series. No, that's the nephew. I think Steve can confirm for me. Is it nephew of? Yeah, nephew of our series champion Nelson Abranosa in P6. So an Abranosa separating Denise and Milan at the moment. However, we've still got another 4 minutes to go, as we've got a car off somewhere. Number 21 is off. He's jumped back to the pits, so we will not see him. 4 minutes left. It's fairly concurrent. There we go. Patrick Prince there in the 275 car. Mike Abranosa actually now jumping up to P2. So it's Porsche 1-2 so far, with the Lamborghini behind. And then it's a double Honda with Pintas and Pope. Abranosa, Duma, Dalton, and Bestkamp, Curtin are top 10 so far. So we've got 2 Mercedes just outside as well with Dennis Bergman. So obviously we've got a fair bit to go in qualifying. We've obviously got I believe it's an hour-long race, if I remember rightly.
An hour 15, I believe.
Hour and 15, there we go. Thank you for reminding me. Obviously, fairly long race. I think shouldn't need is there a mandatory stop?
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. Mandatory stops. Obviously, 1 stop for these drivers. Obviously, if you were in this situation, you had to take a mandatory stop. Obviously, every stop has to be 30 seconds regardless. Would you do tyres or would you do fuel?
In only a 75-minute race, I believe only fuel would be the way to go, as you can drive an hour and a bit longer on the same tires.
Well, an update there. Denise Pope is now in P6 after Nelson Abranosa has now jumped his way up to P4. So Milan and Denise now on the same... they'll be slightly concurrent, but they'll be stacked on next to each other on the grid. So far, obviously, Denise is now in the pit, so I don't think she's actually going to have time to come back out to set another lap. And we've got Prince 2/10 up on his lap time as he comes now through. That'll be invalidated. So it was looking like a good lap there, and he's just thrown it a little bit too wide I'll have to reset again for another lap. We'll see if he comes back around to do another lap. So we've got enough time for every driver out on circuit so far to get back around to do another lap. So we'll see where everybody stacks out in the end. In fact, everybody seems to be quite clustered together in Sector 2 there. Almost nobody in Sector 1. Veskamp is 4 tenths up currently. That would actually put him into P5 and demote Denise and Duma, I believe. In fact, no, it may jump him to P6. We'll see how much time he gains as he gets towards the end of the track. That might have been a cut, actually. I feel like he may have run too wide there. We'll see as he comes towards Cheetah now. I know, in fact, he's come through Cheetah already. We're at the last turn, turn 16. Comes through the final turn. That Audi now going all the way up through the gears. And it will be P7. So splits Milan and Denise now. 0.582 off the pole time so far.
Yeah, and also seeing quite a mix of cars in the top 7 and 8, with the fastest BMW being P8, while we saw the BMW being pretty good on a lot of circuits. It's nice to see some other cars on top, some different manufacturers. Absolutely.
Well, you can see that the Porsche is currently ruling the roost there, P1 and 2. Lamborghini, I've not seen a Lamborghini run so high in a while. Obviously, we know that the Aston Martin is a very reliable and a very quick car in many people's hands. The Honda has had a good run recently, but the BMWs being that low, obviously the circuit must not be tailored to the BMW.
No, and also seeing the Hondas, which got upgraded a while back with the Challengers DLC. We saw them struggle at Silverstone 2 weeks ago, but now seeing them 5th and 6th in the qualifying is quite good.
Absolutely was. Always good to see, as we've got Princey 3 tenths up, so on paper this should put him onto pole if he can hold it through now. Oh, he's jumped into the pits. Ah, that's a shame. Well, we've got Abranosa now, Mike Abranosa there in P2. Everybody will now be coming across to finish their laps. So we've got a handful of cars still on the circuit. We've got P1 and 2 still on the circuit, so they're trying to improve their times before they come in. We've got Abranosa running a little bit wide there, come towards Cheetah now. See, that yellow curb on the inside is an absolute dangerous curb. I think that might be a little bit too wide, yet runs into the pit lane, so that won't be a pole position for Abranosa, our series champion. Milan Duma comes across the line, can't improve. So Denise Pope has got pole so far. Andreas Veskamp will be splitting these two. So Andreas, in fact, it'll be Denise and Milan, one behind the other. We've got Steve Parker now coming through to complete his final lap, coming up now to the Crocodiles. Runs it through, seems fairly clean there, runs it nice to the curb. Setting up Cheetah. He will come through to complete his lap. Comes through the final turn now. And it's only good enough for 16th. We've got Tom Curtin still running around. He's completed his lap. He is P11. So we've got the 2 Mercedes just behind as well. We've got Porsche 1-2. We've got a couple cars left out on circuit now. We've got Machente out on circuit. I believe he's coming up to finish his lap now. In fact, he will be the last car to finish his lap, I believe. But there you go. So that is our grid. As you can see, we've got 5 minutes before the session starts. We've got on pole, we have Machente with Abranosa in P2, P3, P4 is Prince and Nelson Abranosa, Evan Natas and Denise Pope, the Hondas, on the 3rd row of the grid, with Andreas Veskamp just behind in P7. Milan Duma is the top of the 3 BMWs in a row, with Dalston and Van Horn just behind him, rounding out our top 10. The 11th row is an Aston Martin with Tom Curtin in the Aston Martin and Dennis Bergman in the 222 Mercedes alongside. Neubauer in P13 with Van der Veen in P14. Then we have a string of AMP drivers with Van der Linden, Parker, Wemmer in a Porsche, McLaren and BMW respectively. Our last silver driver, Mulders, in the 660 Ferrari, followed by another 2 Ferraris of Benz and Van der Eyck in the AM class. Rounding out our drivers is P21 and 22 with Benz and Haig in a McLaren and BMW respectively. An hour and 15 race with the mandatory stop and all to play for in the AM class. Are you looking forward to this, Arthur?
Yes, I'm looking forward to this with Denise and Dauma being so close. Maybe Van Horn can bring something into the mix with battling with them. He can't get any points from it, but he might try and challenge for the overall win, for the M class win this race. And further we see at the back the rest of the M class, so they might be trying to get some positions there in the championship and also the runners in the silver class. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Well, see, we have AM and we have silver drivers, but by no means is there any difference in the ability. Obviously, some drivers will be faster at some circuits as opposed to others. Just because they're in the AM class doesn't mean they cannot go for an overall podium. Obviously, the two classes have their respective podiums, but it's always nice to try and challenge for an overall podium. I think, we look at drivers in the real world, such as Jimmy Broadbent in the Praga Cup. Obviously, an AM driver in his own respect, but obviously can be as fast as a pro driver. So
yeah,
2.5.
I believe from the stand. I believe from the standings we saw in the qualifying, we're actually missing one car which tried to qualify. Schauke Vervat has some internet issues and will miss the start, most likely.
It's unfortunate. Obviously, we did have 23 cars in qualifying. One has dropped out due to internet issues. That is always obviously unfortunate to see. But 22 cars strong grid still. That is a very strong grid for sure. A decent split of silver and AM drivers here. Obviously, we have had 6 rounds so far. We know that the silver drivers can't win anything. This is just a race, more of an exhibition now. Obviously, Mike Abranosa can't be caught here. So it's just about him trying to extend and put as much damage onto P2, which is Neubauer. He's actually only down in 13th place. So he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to try and even have a little bit of a reduction in that gap with Nelson Abranosa in P3 in the overall standings. So we have 1.5 minutes left. We've got an amazing circuit, some amazing drivers, obviously a beautiful community here at Simsport Racing, and we are thoroughly looking forward to seeing how these drivers go.
And seeing the Nijboer in the back of the grid is a bit harsh, but he is still the directly behind the other Mercedes, so it seems like the Mercedes are struggling a bit with this track, and the Ferraris are almost all at the back of the field, so we'll see if the car makes a difference here.
Absolutely. Well, obviously we know that the Porsches are in this virtual world that we're currently in P1 and 2. In fact, it's quite ironic as well in the real world that the race lap record here is set by a Porsche. In fact, I believe it's the exact same Porsche that these drivers are currently in at the moment.
Maybe it's just a good car around here.
Absolutely. Well, we can see the two Porsches on the front row dropping down off their jacks now, obviously air jacks on GT cars. Very interesting how they work, obviously jacks underneath the cars as opposed to pumping it up maybe like you would with a jack at home when you're changing a tyre. So we have 10 seconds before we go green for our green flag lap.
And now seeing to Michente driving away for the green flag lap for the rolling start we have here. And with quite a long run to Team 1 and it being quite a hard braking point, we might, I don't want to commentate the curse, but there might be some things happening there. And then also on the starts of Kyalami there's quite a lot of action in the turn 5, which is called barbecue. So an action-packed corner.
Absolutely. Well, we can see they're all getting off now, just trying to warm up their tyres. Obviously, only one green flag lap here at Kyalami. It's a decent length, obviously being 2.5 miles, over 2.5 miles long. As we watch Vicente now come up towards barbecue. See a long run to turn 1. As Bauta said, it could be action-packed. for our championship protagonists, at least in the AM class. For the silver, obviously, as I've said, the championship is wrapped up. So it's more about an exhibition, get out there, have some fun, and obviously try and score a last podium for this season.
Yeah, rounding out through turn 6, I believe, a fast turn where we will see quite a few of setting up for overtakes in this corner where he's driving now. So yeah, see if he gets away well on the start and try and drive away from the champion.
Absolutely. Well, we know that the champion behind, it would be great for somebody to take a win before this season is out. In fact, we're looking now, I'll have a quick look now. I can't seem to find him on the standings. I'm clearly blind.
I can't find him too, so no. It might be his first.
Might be a new entry. Yeah, this might be a new entry. So this might be a new entry in the grid. Obviously, it's good that we have another car on the grid for this weekend. Obviously, for this day. Yes, there's a mandatory stop. Lars, welcome to the chat. Obviously, everybody in the chat and watching live, welcome, and I'm hoping you're having a lovely evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And you are joining us here for a 75-minute race at Kyalami with one mandatory stop. We're now going 2 by 2 here as everybody is starting to fold together as we come through the crocodiles now.
Yeah, try to get in your spot correct for the start, and getting the field more bunched up is also a lovely sight to see.
Absolutely. It's not just the sight as well, it's the noise. Obviously 22 cars with various engines, obviously flat 6 engines in the front 2 cars, V10 on the next row with a V8 alongside. I'm not quite sure what's in the Honda, but I think it might be only a V6. It's not a very big engine in the Honda. So we come to green now. We are coming up to start, an hour and 15 minutes here at Kyalami. We're waiting for the lights to go out, and we are racing now. And we get a good way. It looks like a good getaway there for Michente. The Lamborghini got a fairly good getaway. In fact, Nelson Abranosa had a little bit of a bad start. He's got Hondas either side. They're going to go 3 wide down towards turn 2 now. 4 wide in the background there. Everybody see you so far getting through. In fact, that's a Porsche round. That is Abranosa round. Abranosa round with, I think, another couple cars coming together there. And that's the Lamborghini. I think that was 2 Aston Martins come to grief, actually. I'm sure we'll have a look at the replay in a moment. But that is a few cars come together now. Michente, in fact, has dropped to P6. So Abranosa now takes the lead. Denise Pope and Milan Duma are right next to each other. In fact, they're now on the overall podium, with Milan Duma actually taking ahead. Where is Denise? Denise has dropped all the way to 12th. She's been caught up in an incident. I'm sure we'll find out what has happened in a moment with Denise. Obviously, we're now watching Michente dropping from pole to 8th place. So, an action-packed start. In fact, we now got Prince on the top, as everything now seems to be shuffling its way back. Abranosa's dropped down to 16th place. So, Andres Vestkamp, Prince, and in fact, that's more contact. More contact between the TAS and Vestkamp as they come through turn 10 and 11 now. Obviously, everybody seems to have a little bit of built-up energy here as they're going through these corners now. Denise Pope, in fact, has rearranged herself up to P5. Milan Duma has dropped all the way to 14th. He's 5th even in the AM class, which could actually hand Denise Pope the AM title right now. I'm sure she wants the count to stop at this moment in time, and it would crown her AM champion.
Yeah, we saw quite a lot of contact in the first turn, and here Milan Dauma with a folded front engine cover, racing with Ferrari there, and also seeing Mike Arahosa in P15. He had quite a big incident there. So Denise leading the M class comfortably now. Well, comfortably. It's racing with the silver cars, but it's leading it now. And as you said, in case it would finish now, she would get the championship of the M class.
Absolutely. Well, we've got Tim Neibauer now challenging Curtin just in front of him. I believe that is Tom. I believe it's Tom Curtin. Yeah, it is Tom Curtin. There we go. Obviously now challenging the Aston Martin just in front. So Neubauer started outside the top 10, and we're on the second lap here, and he's already challenging for P2. So we've seen just how much action can happen in a couple laps. In fact, there we go. Milan Duma still has moved himself up to 14th place, but he's got Mike Abranosa and Natas just in front of him. These guys qualified in front of him, so it may be a good opportunity for him to follow those two through the grid now, and hopefully try and make some positions back. So we're gonna watch the start now. We're watching on board with Neubauer, and there's contact in front between the Porsches. That is gone out wide, and he's come across. Oh, he's jumped the curb and he's smacked Abranosa. So Abranosa has also been involved in some serious contact. So that, I'm sure it's going to be looked at by the stewards post race, but that's definite contact from our current leader to obviously, well, our current M class leader has obviously now dropped down into 14th place in P4 in class.
Yeah, and seeing that Nijboer has a quite clean car, you can also you also saw it on the replay. Some cars get really clean through it and are now high in the standings, and some cars just like Abranosa had bad luck and got hit by a car flying around or something, and yeah, are dropped down with a damaged car.
So we're watching the replay of Evan Natas against the 457 Audi. We can see he's not alongside. He's going down the inside, and it's just no visual confirmation there by the Audi. I don't think the Audi noticed him going for the move. So obviously that's not ideal for the truck. Obviously the number 450 car than Andreas Vestkamp, obviously, but he has come out better than Natas, who's now down in 13th place with Milan Duma just behind him. In fact, we lost a car there. I wasn't quite sure who we just lost, but we just lost a car. We have the S-Jova in the chat saying he got disconnected and wishing everybody good luck.
Yeah, we're seeing the Denise in 5th with Dalhuizen behind, so the BMW up here.
Absolutely, that is unfortunate for Abranosa there. Obviously, I believe that is the younger of the two Abranosas. It's just unfortunate that he's been collected in an incident. Obviously started with Denise, got himself back round, but unfortunately the BMW came in to finish the job. Van der Linden in the pit already. I'm not sure if there's a pit window, so obviously these guys can pit whenever. Unless this is, I don't think this is a mandatory stop, his mandatory stop. I think this is an unscheduled stop due to damage. Denise Pope is actually fighting Vestkamp here. She's going to go look around the outside here. It's going to be a brave move if she can pull that off. I don't think she's got the speed. She has got the speed. She's got the overspeed on the Audi. She's now going to be hung outside, but it's going to switch to the inside very quickly. The Audi's going to close the door, and it's back to the same positions again. But just behind them is Dalhuizen in the BMW, the number 23, just behind. Denise is looking for another move. She's going to close that gap massively, but can't make anything from it.
And Vestkamp, probably with the incident with Evan in his mind, he will look a bit in his mirrors in the battle with Denise, so they won't spin out again. While Tim is driving on the back of Curtin. So
Curtin's still being challenged for that P2 by Neubauer. Obviously Neubauer knowing that there is nothing up for grabs except bragging rights ahead of his competitors. So Van der Linden's done his stop. So Van der Linden now doesn't have to stop again unless obviously runs out of fuel, tyre problems, has another incident. So Van der Linden now is the first one to complete his stop, and he's going to try and rely on that to be almost an undercut strategy.
Yeah, and also from the front qualifiers, Prince was the one who got the luckiest at the start. So he's driving about 7 seconds, almost 8 seconds away from the pack. If he doesn't make any mistakes, this could be a bit easier for him to maybe keep the front spot.
Absolutely. Well, he might have just commentated his custom there with saying if he's lucky. Obviously, I'm sure he'll be okay. However, obviously, like you say, he has pulled a nice gap from Tom and Nybauer just behind Dennis Verkman, just behind Van Horn. This would be really ideal for Denise if Dennis can get through. It would allow her another cushion of an additional car. In fact, here we go now. There's a battle heating up for P4 here. Denise Pope still just behind, and just behind them now is Dalheiz, and Michente isn't far behind our pole sitter, trying to make his way back through after that incident-packed first few turns. Denise is going to look around the outside. She's going to try and hold the move. There's a bit of contact. Dalheizen looks for a way through. It looks like Denise is going to run a little bit wide. It doesn't look like anything going to happen there. In fact, the only thing that looks like it's about to happen is Vestkamp possibly losing another position here. There you go, Michente now right on the back. The BMW loses the place to Michente. So Michente now looking for a way through. Abranosa's done his stop, so Nelson now lapped by our leading drivers. In fact, he's going to come out, I think, in the middle of P9, the battle for P9 and P10. So Michente now up to 6th place. Vestkamp in 5th after a little bit of a door bang. I don't think it was anything too serious. I think it was a racing incident. It's got Dennis Verkman just behind the AM driver of Chris. I believe it's Chris Van Horn.
Yes, it's Chris Van Horn.
So we've got Chris Van Horn just in front in the number 18 BMW. Evan Natas in the other Honda, making his way back through. I believe that is Abranosa. He's going to fight Abranosa here for position. So that up to P11 goes the Honda. So the Porsche now struggling with that front end damage. You can see a lot of scraping on the front of it as there's a little bit of contact. The task goes a little bit sideways. It seems to be okay. There is Dalheizen looking down the inside. No room there. In fact, he's going to try and force his way through. So he's forced his way through there of Liku. He's now heading towards Crocodiles in the lead of the Porsche. The Porsche's going to flash him. I don't think Michente is overly happy with the way that Dalheizen went through.
Yeah, it was a bit of an aggressive move, while Van der Eyck is also driving behind Dauma in the M class. So with the
the contact there, Formula. Van der Eyck just doesn't brake at all and just goes straight off. Little bit reckless there from the Ferrari driver. He needs to be careful when he rejoins. That's okay. Parker goes through, but Milan really didn't need that. He needed to have a nice clean race from there. In fact, there was a car backwards. There's a car backwards. I can't read. I think it's a 75 car. It is. It's a 75. There is Van der Linden. So something's happened to Van der Linden that's caused him to spin again.
Van der Linden isn't having his race.
Oh, a lot of contact there. That's a lot of contact from the BMW to push his way through. That's definitely been looked at as pushed past by stewards.
Michente isn't having the best time with Dalheizen, I believe it is. With also the pass on the last lap, which was a bit on the aggressive side.
Yeah.
Well, the stewards eventually decide. Well, we see Van der Linden.
What happens here? He just runs it wide. I think we all know what's going to happen here. I think he's going to hit that sausage curb. In fact, no, he doesn't. Yeah,
he does.
There's the sausage curb and straight into the wall. It's such a brutal place. But Dalheizen forced his way through. In fact, Van Horn now in front of Michente. So Michente lost 2 positions in that exchange. And just behind them is the lapped car of Abranosa. So Abranosa can unlap himself. He's just going to be very careful as to where he does it. But there you go. He goes down the inside of Michente now. It looks like a fairly concrete move. He's not going to fight it too hard. It's not for position after all. Nybauer still fighting Tom Curtin. In fact, there's Denise Pope. Denise Pope has capitalised on these two fighting, and all of a sudden she's now within a second of an overall podium.
Yeah, and with Nijboer and Curtin fighting, she could close up the gap and is now getting behind them. So she might try and get the overtake for the podium overall, as you said, while seeing these cars being right behind each other for quite a long time now, it might be hard to get past them.
Absolutely. Well, interestingly, Milan Duma, our AM Championship leader, is in the pits with Van der Veen. So the 850 and the 68 are currently in the pits. Denise Pope in P4 now. We're riding on board with her as she is chasing down Nijboer and Tom Curtin. In fact, she's closed that gap by a 10 this lap. So far in this lap. Prince has run off now. He's got a 12-second lead with the fastest lap of the race so far. Obviously 7 laps in. Still got a long way to go, over an hour left in this race. We can see a lot of wheel-to-wheel action there from our podium sitters so far. Tom Curtin from Ireland and Nijboer just behind in the Team Rocket Fast and Furious car, trying to push as hard as he can to get past the number 8, the 622, just behind. And in fact, just behind Denise is now Andreas Westkamp. So this is a 4-way fight for P2. Obviously, at the moment, it is looking unlikely that Prince can be caught. However, P2 is still feasible for these drivers.
Yeah, they're battling still behind each other, and with now Denise catching up to them, it will be a 3-way fight for the last 2 steps on podium. Well, we're still an hour left in this race, and we had quite an action-packed 15 minutes. So we'll see how the pit strategy will work out of all of these drivers, and see who gets the. Oh, there's contact.
Oh, there's contact between Natas and that was Van Horn. So Natas fighting his way through. That was Van Horn. Oh, good to note. So we'll have a replay in a moment. We've just been told by our broadcaster that it was the Porsche that made contact and not the Honda. So I'm sure we'll get a replay on that as to what happened there. Meanwhile, Nijboer is still trying to defend. He's now going to have to go from the aggressor to the defender here, as Denise is weaving around everywhere behind, trying to find a way through. That Aston Martin seems to be almost as wide as a tank here.
Yeah, he can't get past there while he's trying brake late. We might see from Denise, as she did before on Westkamp, to try and that she would try to go around the outside in the next braking point.
In fact, there you go. She's going to look around the outside. She might try and switch back to the inside. She does juke a little, but she doesn't go for it. She sits behind this battle once more as they come towards the end of lap 8 here at Kyalami. We're going to have the replay now, so we can see side by side for the BMW and the Porsche just ahead. That is Machente and Van der Horn, if I'm remembering correctly. And there's just a very silly move, trying to turn in too early there by the Porsche. So you can see now we're still following Nijboer, as he's now going to have to defend heavily from Denise. Denise is looking down the inside. Denise is going to go for the move down the inside. She's going to make it through. But, oh no, Westkamp, no! Oh, that was silly. Westkamp, oh, and there's contact. There's a lot of cars off now. That's Natas also involved, and in all of that, 4 cars are involved. That is actually Dalhuizen, Westkamp, and Nijboer all off. Now Denise has a free rein to actually attack Tom Curtin. It's Ireland versus Britain here. Again, here we see the Honda trying to make its way around past the Aston Martin, looking to the outside. Similar move to that she pulled off earlier. It doesn't work this time.
Yeah, and as we said, M drivers also going to challenge for the overall podium is in its purest effect right here. But we saw how much it costed Nijboer to overtake it.
So here we go. We can see that Denise makes a great move down the inside. Not really fought by the Mercedes, and the Audi just throws it up the inside. A very silly move by the Audi there, as he then pulls himself back onto the circuit, and the BMW there just straight into him. Abranosa makes it through, but Natas loses a little bit of time to the pack behind him there, trying to avoid the incident.
Yeah, and you saw that Westcomb might have braked too late or just tried to go for a gap, which wasn't there, which had quite a bit of impact with three three drivers having contact with each other, even when he's way past the moment of contact.
Absolutely. Well, we've got Van Horn in P8 so far. Actually, now jumping to P6 after the incidents. In fact, there we go. Neubauer is in the pits. 622 in the pits after contact with number 450, sorry, in P4. Andreas Vestkamp. There we go. Machente is trying to make his way past Dalhuizen. Dalhuizen is going to fight it up the hill towards Barbecue. Barbecue is the place where Machente is going to make a place on Dalhuizen. So now up to P7 for the Porsche. In fact, they're now going to have to defend a little bit more as they come towards sunset. They look like they're side by side. It's going to be a drag race to the next braking zone at Clubhouse.
Yeah, Dalhuizen going a bit wide, and these cars are battling from the very start of the
There's
race.
a little bit of contact, and he's round. Oh, there's more contact. So it's just insult to injury there for Machente. Another bit of contact that spins the Porsche around. And he can't move because obviously there's cars coming.
Yeah, maybe I said a bit too early that they're already battling for the whole race. Well, Denise is still trying to get past Curtin, which has a 16 seconds gap to the leader, Prince. So he's driving away pretty quickly.
Well, Daniel Benz has a drive-through penalty for, I would assume that would be track cuts, wouldn't it?
No, as he just pitted, it will probably be a speed limit violation.
Okay. Obviously, we've got Denise still chasing Tom Curtin here. Tom has not been let up. First, it was a Mercedes. Now it's a Honda. In fact, there we go. We can see on board with Denise and on the rear wing of Tom just how hard he's having to try to hold back that Honda. So Denise doing a brilliant job here at trying to harass Tom in getting through into P2. Obviously, these two racing each other is giving Prince the perfect opportunity here to pull away in that Lamborghini. But so far, it's a Lamborghini, an Aston, and a Honda, which at the start of the race I wouldn't have pegged as the podium.
Yeah, obviously with BMW also being powered, we saw they aren't that fast on this track like on some other circuits. It's nice to see some different cars at the top, and also seeing a Lamborghini on the top step at the moment is quite nice, because I don't think I can't remember of a time where I saw a Lamborghini on the top of the timing.
Absolutely, it's been a while since I've seen a Lamborghini that high up, but in fact it's probably normally in British GT in the real world that I see the Lamborghinis that high. But we can see that Tom Curtin is still trying to fight the Honda just behind Steve Parker there, having to defend hard, and there's contact there from Van der Eyck that also involves Van der Linden in the 75, so that's a little bit of contact there. At least the Ferrari does the polite thing and allows the McLaren to rejoin before racing off into the distance. The TAS now in P5, chasing what appears to be a lapped car. Yeah, it is Abranosa. Abranosa now making his way back through after the stops. Obviously, watch the Aston Martin of Nelson Abranosa. He should jump a few places during the stops. Obviously, unfortunately, with contact, dropped him right to the back of the field. Tom Curtin, meanwhile, still defending against Denise. Denise is doing a wonderful job here. In fact, she's alongside now as they come towards sunset. She's going to try around the outside. In fact, she might make the move around the outside into the braking zone of the Clubhouse. Runs a little bit wide, the side-by-side stuff. She's going to have to be heavy on the brakes, later on the brakes. Land the Aston Martin, she pushes him a little bit wide. It's completely within reason to do so. And she makes her way through. A brilliant move by Denise Pope in the Wild Thing 79 Honda.
Yeah, amazing racing from both of them after quite a few laps. We might see Curtin now trying to get behind Pope, and also Evan Nataf.
Evan Natas, yeah,
Nataf.
He's not far behind.
Might also be getting a bit behind these cars. Andreas Westkamp being the first one of the cars which already pitted. So he pitted quite early, and we'll see what the rest of the field will do.
Well, Andreas is probably riding on a battle between Denise and Tom to close that gap so that he can try and obviously undercut the... Sorry, yeah, it is undercut, isn't it? These drivers. So we'll see how that works. Natas is currently stuck behind Nelson Abranosa. It's not a bad thing, as it'll be giving him a toe down these main straights here. Obviously, Nelson can't fight him too hard. Obviously, GT rules mean that blue flags aren't something you have to completely adhere to. They're just more a notice of a car that you are not fighting is just behind.
Yeah, so we will be seeing Abrahos in front of Tafs for now, which might also help get him back to the battle in front with, as you said, a bit of tow. And also seeing Michente still in the pits after that incident and dropping all the way off the back. I might think that might be a retirement from him.
It is a retirement, that is absolutely correct. He's 3 laps down now, so it is a retirement from Michente. But he's not left the lobby at least. Obviously, he'll technically claim some sort of consolation for at least being classified, as we still see the rear end of the I'm not quite sure what the team is, but obviously it's the 321 of Abranosa just in front. Van der Veen, meanwhile, is fighting our Mercedes friend, in fact Dennis Verkman and Neubauer, I believe, are back where they started.
Yes, and having the pit stop completed, they are in fourth of the people who already completed it. So we see where they will be after the end of all the other pit stops from the top 10 right now. And Danny van der Veen trying to catch and overtake Nijboer.
We see Van der Veen in the 850 McLaren 720S car just behind Neubauer in the 622. Obviously, we have got a few cars still coming in for stops. Obviously, a lot of these will probably wait till later in the race now to try and build a gap. Obviously, the tyres aren't going to go off in an hour and 15 minutes, but the one thing you do definitely have to be wary of is your fuel.
Yes, the stop will probably be just a fuel stop to save the seconds, as you probably won't gain any time by doing 30 seconds extra and getting fresh tires. So you have to look at your fuel strategy and how it will play out.
Absolutely. Well, we can see that Denise Pope's actually pulled a gap on Tom Curtin, so she's currently sat in P2 with a decent chunk of time between her and the now P3 car. Evan Natas is closing the gap on our driver in P3 so far, with actually pretty much every AM driver then behind, with Van Horn, Beamer, Parker, Van der Eyck, Haig in 5th through 9th.
It's also interesting to see now, as you said, the M drivers are all in the top of the timing and the silver are in the bottom. Well, it has to be with the pit stop, so it might be a strategy per class, almost it seems like. But yeah, Evan catching the Curtin with only 3 seconds behind, so maybe we'll see him also challenging for the podium, which makes P2 and P3 a Honda.
It does indeed. So we can see Denise is still pulling a gap on Tom Curtin. Elsewhere, we've got Van der Veen still trying to catch and now trying to catch and overtake Neubauer. He was right behind previously. It's now a 4.1 second gap between Tom and Denise. So Denise now has a nice cushion to try and just cut down some of that time on the driver in P1, which is the Lamborghini of Prince. It would be amazing to see the Honda overtake for the lead, especially being an AM driver. I mean, I've raced Denise in the past, and she is very, very quick.
Yes, and also Kyalami is her track. While she last season around, she got a podium here. So she might try and indeed catch a bit up to Prince.
But we'll see the time when she comes across the line. But right now, Neubauer trying to pull away from the car behind, and obviously trying to close that gap on the other Mercedes of the class, which is the 222 Dennis Verkman. In fact, there you go. McLaren almost dive bombs there into turn 2, and obviously up the hill now towards Barbecue in turn 5, which is an amazing corner name. Obviously, this track's been in the news a lot regarding Formula 1. Obviously, a lot of fans consider this a track that's worthy to host a Grand Prix. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I absolutely love this track, but when I'm thinking of a Formula 1 race here, well, all the past moments I thought Jeddah would be a bad circuit to drive on. Well, we had 2 of the most intense races for me to watch. So most of the time I'm completely wrong with predicting it from the Formula 1, but in my opinion I don't see Formula 1's driving on here.
So we're watching Tom Curtin now. We're going to see what happens here. Car in 17th place, and he's dive bombed. So the car that's not even racing him, I believe that is Dalhuisen. So Dalhuisen has dive bombed Tom Curtin. Now it is a Honda 2.3. Obviously, if Red Bull were here, they'd be having a great time. But it's really unfortunate because Dalhuisen now has affected the podium there. P8, the car number 8, Tom Curtin, obviously now losing his podium place. Not on his fault.
Yeah, that also hurts to see. So I believe Tafs was catching in on Curtin, so I don't know if we will be seeing Curtin catching up back to Natafs, and maybe he just has to drive as fast as he can now to minimize the chance of an undercut by Westkamp.
Absolutely. Well, we are on board now with our race leader. The gap hasn't gained too much since Denise got away from Tom earlier in the race. We've got 45 minutes left, and watching Tom now come through down towards the hill at turn 10. I'm sure I'm butchering that. I do apologise. Oh, we've got Vicente in the chat. He obviously not overly happy with dive bomb. Obviously, I'm sure if we can talk to him later, we can see that Prince now is coming towards what I believe is the Aston Martin. I think that might be Dennis in the 222 Mercedes in front. Sorry, not 100% sure. Yeah, that is the 222, isn't it? We'll wait for the next camera angle. I think the next camera angle. Yeah, it's the 222. So, obviously, Patrick Prince has had a great opportunity here in the instance that happened, and it's allowed him to pull away from the rest of the grid. Obviously, Denise doing a great job representing the AM class here for this race. Kyalami, obviously, Van Horn is the next car in the AM class. Milan Duma still down in 16th place. We'll see where he rotates into after all the pit stops are completed. There is Milan. Obviously, it looks like he's fixed his car. Yes, he has. In fact, the front bumper looking a lot nicer than it was earlier.
Yeah, by having it fixed, he had a quite a little bit longer pit stop. So he was a bit unlucky with the incidents happening in the first turn. So he is probably trying now to drive as fast as he can. Well, I believe that might be actually Denise behind him going to lap him, which is quite a mental game.
Yeah, absolutely will be. Absolutely, all of a sudden he would be, I think, potentially already a lap down on Denise anyway. But this would just be insult to injury for Milan, because obviously this means that on paper he can't win now. Obviously, we still got a long way to go. Many things can happen this race. But mentally, especially as a driver, how challenging is it when you see the person you're fighting for a title overtake you?
Yeah, as it being the last round. As we see Westcomb. Oh, no, wait, that isn't for position. Driving past the TNW.
That was Haig. That was 63. Yeah, so Westcamp now makes his way through past the 63 of Haig. So up to 8th place, Westcamp goes after a interesting, well, opening stint for the Audi driver. In fact, the sole Audi of the grid, which is very shocking because the Audi's quite a nice car to drive.
Yeah, it's a great car to drive. The only issue I have with it, it's under braking with it. It's just a skill issue of mine. So him also overtaking Haig, which still has to pit, means that he is now driving and reeling in the M cars in front of him. So there's only 3 cars between him and Curtin, the next person in his class on track, but they all still have to pit, so he's doing quite a good job to catch back to them in free air.
Absolutely. Well, obviously you have to make the best of free air and every opportunity that you get in endurance racing. Obviously, technically, as it's over an hour long, I believe it can be considered an endurance event, as opposed to, well, as according to MSUK at least. Back on board with Patrick Prince as he is coming towards the end of lap 19 now. So he I believe starting lap 20. Maybe the wrong, it maybe lap 20 and he's starting lap 21, but headed towards the end of the lap there. 40 minutes, just over 40 minutes to go here. Van der Eyck, meanwhile, fighting with Parker, and I believe Van Horn's not far behind, but that's the 75 Porsche of Van der Linden. So these 3 are, 2 of these are for position, one of these is just trying to make his way back through and unlap himself as much as he can.
Yes, and the car behind them on the circuit and on the in the standings now is Westkamp. So we'll see if he gets an advantage here by these 2 cars fighting it out with each other right now.
Absolutely. Well, Steve Parker trying to fight his way through past Van der Eyck. The Ferrari doing a very good job to hold off the McLaren. The Porsche trying not to get involved too much. Obviously, he wants to make his way back through, because obviously gaining a lap back on anybody is a good feeling. So he's going to try his hardest to make his way back through. Evan the Tass has a 9-second gap between him and Denise. The Honda's currently running very well here, but the Tass does let Abranosa through. He knows that it's not a challenge worth having right this second, so he's going to let him back through. Well, in fact, it's a Wild Things car, so Wild Things 2-3.
Yes, amazing to see them both in 2-3, as I have raced previous with Evan, and he was actually part of the team I'm driving for right now. So I know this guy and girl a bit better than the rest of the grid. But also Pope going to lap, I believe that's still Dauma in front of her.
Still fighting, yeah. So Milan Dauma and Denise Pope are fighting as that's for position. There you go, she jumps into the pits now. So this is, so the next AM car is Milan. So we'll see where she shapes up after obviously the stop has happened with Haig, Van Horn, Van der Eyck, Parker not stopping in her class. In fact, the TAS has come in. So these 2 are on identical strategies now. So we'll see how it shapes up. In fact, there is Van Horn. Van Horn will not stop. So Van Horn's now going to come through and inherit P3. Obviously, he's still to stop. Van der Eyck also to stop. Parker also to stop. Van der Eyck there now coming through towards Cheetah. We're going to see whether he decides to come in now. He does. So Van der Eyck in, Parker not. So we are seeing pretty much everybody complete their stops now. In fact, we've got 3 cars in the pits. We've got 4 cars. Yeah, 4 cars to complete pit stops. So we'll see where they go. In fact, there's Denise coming out now. So she's now going to come out in P5 with Natas also have completed the stop. So in fact, those two have timed it perfectly to come out concurrently and re-inherit a decent position on the road. In fact, there you go. There's Vestkamp. Vestkamp's now going to try and challenge. In fact, that would be for a podium place if Vestkamp can make it through. Vestkamp trying his hardest. He's got to be very careful as to what he does. Obviously, that's a little bit aggressive there by the Audi. The Audi can't make its way through, so Vestkamp is now on the back of Denise. Denise all of a sudden had a good chunk going into the stop and now has to fight really hard to hold off a pro driver that is Andreas Vestkamp just behind.
Yeah, also Vestkamp has the pressure from Tafs behind him, so he's in a Wild Things sandwich right now. And also Denise being the first one who has already pitted yet will, yeah, most likely move up to P2 again if
Fantastic pushes way through. That's inside. A really clean move there by the other Honda. The Honda's now trying to pull away and to build a gap. There we go, Tom Curtin in the pit stops now. So we only have 3 AM drivers and a Silver left to complete their stops. We'll see where Tom emerges. He should emerge just behind Vestkamp, if I'm not mistaken.
He just came in, so if he takes a long stop, he might lose some time. But also with this stop being later in the race, they don't have to put a lot of amount of fuel in it, so they also have a lot of a shorter stop. And Vestkamp must be really mad at himself that his strategy just nearly worked out, but on the last minute, he lost the places, but still is at the back of Nataf. So we'll see what comes from that.
Well, Denise Pope has re-inherited her position. She will probably re-inherit P2 when Van Horn does come in for his stop. Natas, meanwhile, trying to hold off Vestkamp. Just behind is Mike Abranosa. Now, Mike had a massive incident at the start that put him quite far down on the grid. I believe he stopped fairly early, and he's just been pushing ever since. Now, all of a sudden, Vestkamp's got to be very wary as to what he does with Natas, because the more they fight, the more that promotes Tom and Abranosa just behind into the battle for the final podium spot. Denise is doing exactly what she needs to do and starting to build a little bit of cushion between her and her teammate. So far, it's looking very racy here at the front of the grid.
Yeah, and Abranosa being the starter from P2, we know that he has one of the better paces of the circuit among the grid. So where Vestkamp might be switching to looking in his mirrors instead of trying to overtake Tafts in the meantime, while Van Horn takes his pit stop, which leaves only Patrick Prince to do his stop yet, and Haig. So
we have Van Horn in the stops. We'll see, he comes out ahead of Milan. That is really important for Denise. So we're seeing the Ferrari here. I'm not quite sure which car that is. That is the 15 car, and he just drops it on his own, and then Abranosa does a really good job to avoid there. So brilliant job by Nelson to get his way back through. So Andreas Vestkamp still behind Natas. Denise is pulling a little bit of a gap here. Mike Abranosa just behind with 2.3 seconds the gap between them. Van Horn is ahead of Milan. So Milan's now got a lot of work to do to try and catch Van Horn and overtake him. Obviously, I'm not quite sure what the points are, but if it is a gap of more than 5 points in the favour of Denise, Denise will take the championship.
Yeah, so with Van Horn being between them, if he finishes in P2 of the M class, I believe it might be the championship to Denise.
Absolutely. I'm just reading the chat now, and yeah, obviously, as the admins have said on the channel, in the chat, that if you want to donate to this amazing league, obviously become a member. There's various benefits, and obviously helps promote what we do here and helps us do what we do here. Then all the links are in the website.
Well, I have
So-
to actually correct myself with Milan has to be in 4th position of M class, and Denise has to win to get on the same level as points. And if he drops back 1 position, Denise will get it. So now it's on the way to Dauma.
So advantage to us. So thank you very much for that information. Obviously, it means that on paper, obviously Denise will take an amazing win. She can't be denied that, but she can be denied the title here. So we'll wait and see what happens with the race. We've got just over half an hour to go. We're watching currently the Simzone car, number 18 of Carl Van Horn. He is the driver that currently separates Denise and Milan on the podium. So we're watching now as he's actually being attacked by Van der Veen in the 850 McLaren just behind. Obviously that would then put Van der Horn and Milan the next car on the road for Milan would be Van Horn if Van der Veen goes through. So we'll wait and see what happens there. Obviously these two not fighting too hard. Dennis Berkman and Nibau back into the top 10. We've got Prince, still hasn't done his stop yet in P1. Obviously he's trying to pull a massive gap here. I think he's almost at the point where he's going to lap our P2 driver. We'll see when he comes in. Obviously half hour to go. I'm sure he'll be in within the next couple laps. I would definitely want to get my stop done now as being the last driver. In fact, there you go. Almost like clockwork, he comes straight into the pits. So all these drivers that have been lapped are now going to come back through to be unlapped. The 222 is round at Cheetah, so that's going to be, that's a lot of damage on the rear of that Mercedes. The Mercedes is now going to have to make its way safely back up to speed. It looks like he's done that, and yeah, so no, not too much damage for Mercedes. I'm sure we'll find out just how bad it is as soon as he goes down to turn 2.
And also those Mercedes all being quite close to get on the standings the whole race, and now also battling each other on track for position, with also Van Horn. Bergman goes off. There it is. So he lost about 3 positions there. 2 positions. See what happens.
So we're watching the replay. Is it a carbon copy? There you go. There's the sausage curb at Cheetah. Around the car goes. He doesn't get on the brakes quick enough and straight into the wall. Really unfortunate for the Mercedes. Obviously now dropping. In fact, there you go. He's dropped from the lobby. He has retired the car. So no higher than P19 for Dennis Berkman in the final race of the season, which is really unfortunate for him.
Yeah, and also the Van Horn goes down the inside of Nijboer. So see if he tries to catch the position back. Around, I believe they will go to Crocodile from here.
You are absolutely right. We're headed up towards the Crocodiles now, as they are still fighting. In fact, Van Horn's now made his way back up in front of Nijbauer, so Nijbauer's now trying to fight his way back through. So there's a 2/10 gap there. Natassa's closed up to Denise. Denise is having, I don't know if she's having an issue or whether she's just lost a little bit of pace, but it seems to be that Denise can't hold off her teammate much longer. In fact, there's a decent gap though between them and Andreas just behind. In fact, there you go, a 4-second gap between them. We can see Nijbauer still hassling the AM driver just ahead of him. Obviously Abanosa being the, I believe, the last car in P11 who has been lapped. So everybody now stopped. So we have 27 minutes and 50 seconds to go. or thereabouts, and we have Prince in the lead with a sizable lead. Denise in P2 with Evan Natas, her teammate, just behind, and Joseph Bestkamp almost 4 seconds behind now, with Naivar currently P8 chasing down P7 Van Horn. Obviously we've lost about 5 cars.
Yeah, so it's been an eventful race, as I said at the start, with people trying to get to the last positions in the last race of the championship. So here we see Abrahosa catching the back of Verskamp to see if he can get a position from there, with Abrahosa being pretty unlucky at the start. Catching up to here is a pretty amazing job.
Absolutely, he's doing a really good job here, Mike, as he is right on the back of Vestkamp now. So Vestkamp's now got to worry about trying to defend and close the gap at the same time. The 75 Porsche gets very quickly out the way. Very good job there by Van der Linden to make sure that he isn't in the way of our 2 drivers in P4 and P5. Abranosa still trying to chase down a hopeful podium at this stage. I'd say it's a very hopeful podium, because Denise is just, all she's got to do here is hope that her teammate is a good enough rear gunner to hold off Abranosa and Vestkamp for what is effectively about about a quarter of the race now.
My maths aren't that good to
It's all good.
calculate it that fast.
Well, we can see we've got the split screen up again, where we see Denise Pope in P2, Abranosa going off-roading there to try and find a way past Vestkamp. Vestkamp still doing his best to hold off the advances of the Porsche driver. So we'll see where these slots stack up at the end of the race. 25 minutes, just over 25 minutes to go. Prince looking untouchable at the moment. Something may happen yet. We've got Abranosa in P5, still trying to hunt down Vestkamp and overtake him. The next cars on the road are gaining time on P4 and P5, so they've got to be very quick to make their decision as to where they want to be before Natas and Pope pull away.
Yeah, so they are trying to get to drive away from the people behind them, but also Prince being in the lead, still the fastest lap of the race, absolutely driving his best right now. Maybe a quite boring race for him, but you can't be not happy with the race win like this, with full dominance till the point of now.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure when he finished qualifying, he wasn't overly confident that he'd get the win, but he seems to be doing a really good job here at maintaining his pace, and I think that's the key thing here. He's been very consistent enough at which where he has a great opportunity to win this race. Obviously not long left to go in the race now, as we see the sunset start to descend on the circuit. Some beautiful looking scenery around the car as the headlights are on.
Yeah, and with the sun coming down, we might get to the point where the sun might get in the eyes of the drivers, and with being quite a bit over the half of the race, we have only 24 minutes remaining, so we'll see who can do what from the positions they are now in.
Absolutely. Well, we can still see Abranosa trying to gain some time on Vestkamp. Vestkamp's gained a couple tenths there on the Porsche driver, the Team Abbey Racing car, trying to do its best to get back on the back of Vestkamp. We've got a replay here of Van Horn as he comes. I believe this is Barbecue, comes through and straight onto the grass and into the wall. So Van Horn actually was the car in P2 for the AM class, so all of a sudden Milan Duma has a cushion in which he will be effectively the AM champion.
Yes, he has a cushion of 2 cars between him and the last of the championship, so if he drives like this, it will go his way. but still, I don't want to say anything because 23 minutes to go and everything can still happen, as we see quite a lot of drivers hitting the banana. At least 2 drivers hitting the yellow big banana on the second to last corner, and some other drivers losing it on themselves. Are also watching to the battle of Evan and Denise. Maybe they're playing some inter-team assignments here, with Evan having to hold the position, or they're just going out and battle on their own.
Well, Denise, I know from what I remember, is one of the main leaders of Wild Things Racing. Obviously, I don't think there's much team orders at play here. Obviously, if Evan is faster, I can't see her holding him up for too much, knowing that obviously they've both got a great opportunity here for a podium. She may just let him go and obviously follow him through for the next few laps.
Yes, so also we might see them go behind each other for the last laps, or see an amazing battle between those two, as they're doing their best to get the Hondas to P2 and 3, which I don't want to say unthinkable, but quite unlikely to happen with the before the last update. And also the Lamborghini being in front it's a beautiful podium with the manufacturers on there at the moment.
Absolutely is. Yeah, Lamborghini doing a great job. In fact, it's not gained any more time, so Denise has done a good job to just maintain the gap now. Obviously, she hasn't closed it, but she's doing a good job at trying to be as fast as she can to hold off her teammate. In fact, there you go. There's the confirmation. They are going to keep racing. Hopefully, it's nice, clean racing, so we don't see teammates coming together. Obviously, golden rule of motorsport: never hit your teammate.
Yeah, after hitting your teammate, you will be most likely hearing that quite a long time. Like in every case, hitting your teammate isn't the best, like in qualifying or something. Just don't touch each other.
Absolutely correct there. So Natas 0.4 of a second back off teammate. They've gained a gap of about 7 seconds to Vestkamp, because Vestkamp's still being chased by Abranosa. Obviously, Abranosa not giving him an opportunity to breathe. You can see just behind, in the background actually, was the 2 drivers behind the Porsche and the Audi. But the BMWs have just not had a good day here. In fact, the highest BMW is an Amcar in P9.
Yeah, with seeing the only silver BMW being in P18 with Dahlhausen, who also is probably retired from the race. And also Arjen van der Linde going in the pits now with a lap behind on the car in front of him. I don't know if we'll be seeing him on track again, or he is just trying to get another fuel in.
I'm not quite sure. I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. We've got 16 cars left in the race. We had 23 stars. Vestkamp's losing it slightly. Abranosa now round the outside. He's going to look for a way through. He's not going to find it this time round. He's going to have to go and look behind again. Down towards Clubhouse now. He's going to look down the inside. He's going to think better of it. Not try a dive bomb just yet. Obviously enough time here for Abranosa to have another go. In fact, they're headed up now towards the S's. The S is now being the place where he's going to get right up behind the wing of the Audi. The Audi getting a little bit unsettled there, as possibly a little bit of contact between the two as they come up towards the coupe now. Around the outside goes the Porsche. It's not going to work there. I think he's going to try and look for some overspeed, but the Audi gets a great exit there. In fact, the Audi now pulling away slightly from the Porsche ahead behind.
Yeah, with Abranosa already having the championship in his pocket, he has nothing to lose in this race, so maybe we'll see him try at the absolutely can reach right now. To try and gain every position he is able to gain, and don't think of the long term with points and having risk of coming together in a racing incident.
Yeah, but equally, obviously, you don't want to be responsible for an incident that decides, your opponent's race. I think it's very respectful from Mike that he's not pushing stupidly. He's just waiting his time, and this is why, obviously, he's champion. He's done everything he needs to do to make sure that he can become champion. obviously, and to finish first you must finish. So he did exactly that, and he's done a great job today. Come back from what I would have retired at that point if I'd been taken out that early. I'd have just put the car in the garage and sat and watched it. But he's obviously looked over the adversity of it and said, you know what, we'll give it a go. And here he is now trying to challenge for P4, which is a really good result considering his start.
Yeah, I don't want to give an F1 reference in it, but it quite reminds me of one specific British driver last weekend, with almost to the point of indeed retiring while he's going for the overtake on Westkamp. He was going for, but Westkamp got a better exit. But from the point of almost retiring to fighting for P4 is an amazing job done by Rosa.
Absolutely, it's a really good job. And so you're not thinking of Jolyon Palmer then? just me. So Abranosa is still trying to fight his way through here. Westkamp obviously doing a great job at defending. We've got Natas losing a little bit of time to his teammate. Elsewhere, we've got a few drivers getting a little bit closer together. We've got Parker and Venema, just 1.5 seconds separating between them. Abranosa in P11, again a really good drive for him after his start, which basically put him to the back of the grid. Still watching Mike Abranosa try and make his way through past Andreas Westkamp in that 450 Green Moose Racing car.
Yeah, so this battle is going on for a few laps, I believe, right now. So we'll see how long Westkamp can keep Abranosa behind. And maybe this will also make him lose a bit of seconds to the Walting's cars in front of him. So with 50 minutes to go, we'll see how much he can catch up to them, or how the battle will end up with him and Abranosa.
Indeed we will. We can see that obviously these two are the closest drivers on second at the moment. The next, in fact, is actually the other Abranosa, the nephew of Mike, Nelson, in P11, actually chasing down Van Horn in P10. So it could be a top 10 finish here on the cards for Nelson in 321 Aston Martin.
Yeah, seeing it being right now with Denise saying it. She is 1 lap behind, but
oh, there we go. There's the position change there. Denise is going to let Natas through. That was a fairly, what looked to me like team orders there. I think that was a fairly team orders move. In fact, she moved right out of the way there for her teammate. So maybe something wrong with Denise's car. We'll keep tabs on it for now, but at the moment, obviously, Mike Abranosa and Andreas are still struggling to get past each other.
Yeah, maybe the overtake from Evan on Denise was for the fact to try and close the gap in on Prince for how far that will work, while Abranosa tries it down the inside. Well, he tried it. So if Prince would make a mistake eventually, they would be closer, and he might have a little less cushion between those to catch anything. While these cars are absolutely on the gearbox of each other.
They absolutely are. Well, we've got barely any time left in this race now. We can see just under 15 minutes now. 13 minutes 50 seconds left to go. So only a few more laps to go here. Andreas Westkamp's only got to hold on for a short period of time to claim 4th place. Abranosa obviously trying his best to upset that and go into P4 after starting alongside on the front row with, well, retired now, obviously, Machente.
Yeah, with the position change you saw, it was quite clear that this race was quite eventful and had a few unfortunate touches for people like Machente, which in my opinion I thought was going to be a challenger for the overall victory today. Going to the retirement or back of the grid.
Absolutely. Well, we can see Veskamp still trying to hold off the Abranosa. Just behind him, Mike in the 21 Team Abbey car, trying to push his way through, but obviously struggling to do so. Andreas doing a great job at not caving to pressure here, doing a very good job to keep that Audi on the road and just in front of the Porsche behind.
Yeah, here we have Nelson Abrahosa chasing down Van Horn. So we'll see if he can make a move into turn 1 while he gets the tow from the big BMW.
There we go, Nelson goes down the inside, so it's going to be a fairly straightforward move there for Nelson to get past Van Horn. Milan is the next on the road for him. It's quite a chunk to Milan, almost 10 seconds. The gap between P10 and P9. So Veskamp still trying to hold off the Abranosa behind him. Let's see if Mike can do something to upset. It looks like there was almost a bit of a dive bomb there from the Porsche. It looked like they were going to collide originally. There's Mulders just behind. That is Haig in the 63 BMW. He's going to let him through, I think. There we go. No, in fact, he's going to try and defend. That was almost contact there between the Ferrari and the BMW. The BMW going to try and use its width as an advantage to hold off the Ferrari. The Ferrari can't get underneath just yet, so a little bit more time needed for Mulders there.
Abrahosa still in the chase of Veskamp, trying to move places with the Porsche not being the fastest car on the straight, well, probably being the slowest car on the straights. It's more difficult for him to try and do a dive into turn 1, so we'll see how it plays out between these two, as they're in totally different cars.
Absolutely. Well, meanwhile, we've got a battle again here between the TAS and Denise, whether Denise is trying to get a little bit more practice in her racecraft here as she's racing her teammate, and this is definitely racing. You can see how aggressive they're being to try and overtake each other. In fact, they've gained 12 seconds in this though. They've gained another 2 seconds on the cars behind in this past few minutes. Looking for the move, Abranosa does think better of it, tries to basically duck out the way of the Audi, making sure he doesn't create any contact. In fact, he's going to have a good exit now. They're going to now be having a drag race down towards the Crocodiles. The Audi has obviously the bigger engine, the V10, as opposed to the flat 6 box engine in the back of the Porsche. The Porsche trying its best to keep up with the Audi on the straight, but the V10 just a bit too much for it to keep up with.
Yeah, and
that was a massive jump. I think he just cleared the banana curve. So Abranosa trying everything he can to get past it.
Yeah, here he has to try and get the tow from the Audi, but you can see even with the tow, the Audi is pulling away from him. So that might be a bit frustrating, but you can see at the moment how close they are that he will gain it back on the corners of the circuit. So it's quite an interesting battle, but it's difficult to get past him. And even when he is past him, he still has to watch out for the straights. While Denise has overtaken Evan, they're almost making it look like a team practice server to just practice their racecraft on.
They absolutely are. They're still gaining time on the cars behind. So these two are just racing each other now for what looks like for fun. So long as they don't collide, obviously it'll be fairly straightforward. Unless there was a Kimi is faster than you in the ears of the driver.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll be seeing team orders again. At least if we will seeing team orders between there, if Mike tries a move, well, he doesn't make it stick, and still has to get in the toe of the Audi there to maybe try and do something with the good brakes into the Crocodiles, where we're heading to now, with Veskamp still in front of the Porsche of Abrahosa.
Absolutely. Well, these two haven't stopped racing each other since they got together on circuit. Obviously, at the start was contact between both drivers at some point, and obviously through that they've managed to work their ways back through into P4 and 5 respectively, and now it is a battle of wits to see who can actually overtake and finish just behind the podium. But definitely a guy that we've been ignoring is Patrick Prince. He's done a great job so far to make his way to the front of the grid, and now, obviously, with just over 7 minutes remaining, he is on course to take a victory.
Oh yeah, he's leading the race from every lap until now, having the fastest lap, so he's absolutely dominant in this race. As we can't see the gap to Denise right now, while Mike goes into the bit cornery part of the circuit to try and do something there for the last quite a lot of laps.
Absolutely. Well, it's looking like a good race here for these drivers as we are headed towards the final race now. Well, towards the end of the final race now, as Mike Cabernet is still trying to find his way through past Vestkamp at the moment.
Yeah, these two won't let each other go away from them, as they're fighting hard for the last. I don't know how long they've been fighting, with only 6 minutes left. It will be close to the end who gets the better position of the two.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see what happens as we've got 6.5 minutes to go. Evan Natas is closing the gap once again on Denise, so they are definitely having some sort of racing practice there. I think there's a lot of fun going on in that battle for them too. Meanwhile, Abranos is still trying to overtake Vestkamp in the Audi. The Porsche just didn't seem to have that power that it had in qualifying across one lap to pass the Audi.
Yeah, and here we have, I believe that's Danny van der Veen chasing down Tom Nijboer for P7 in the race, with Milan Dauma behind them in P2 of the M Championship now. So if he keeps it on the tarmac till the end of the race, and I don't want to curse on this, he will eventually get the championship of the M class.
You're absolutely right, he should do. Meanwhile, we've got the split screen once again with Mike Cabranosa still trying to fight with Vestkamp. We've got Van der Veen trying to fight with Tim Nijboer here just ahead of him. So it's Mercedes versus McLaren and Porsche versus Audi. It's a battle of German cars on the right, and on the left we've got Mercedes and a McLaren fighting head to head as they come towards Sunset and Clubhouse. Meanwhile, the Porsche and the Audi are coming out of Lecou towards Mineshaft now.
Yeah, both of the battles being quite close. We'll see who gets the better position out of the two battles. While on the right they are going to they actually had a bit of contact, it seems, going through the banana onto the last corner and on the straight back again. And I believe on the right they went just through the hairpin, so maybe we will see a dive bomb from Danny van der Veen if he is brave into this corner. Well, he took a look on the inside, but he didn't make it. As I don't know how many laps they have been battling for now, so I don't know if it will be an easy pass or it's already going on for like a couple of laps. So he's trying to get the toe on the straight here from the Mercedes with not the fastest car on straight, but a great car to drive on the McLaren. Yeah, just driving behind him, trying to catch up to him.
Absolutely. Well, these two are still fighting for position that will be P7 overall in the race. Obviously, one place less in class, but equally, obviously, an additional place at the end of the season. A few extra points is definitely what these drivers want, and they're going to try as hard as they can to get that extra point from each other. Natas still pretty much on the back of his teammate as well. So we've got a few battles still heating up. We've got Wimmer and Parker, Van der Veen and Nijboer, Vestkamp and Abranosa, and Natas and Pope are battles that are left on circuit. There's still one-on-one battles, almost dogfights, as we come into what will probably be the final 2 laps of the race here. In fact, 275 is coming down towards Laku now. So it's more than likely that we'll have 2 laps after this one to race. So we'll see how these stack up. Obviously Van der Veen's still trying his hardest to catch and overtake Neubauer. Neubauer doing a good job at defending from the McLaren just behind.
Yes, they're coming to Cheetah onto the back straight again, where you see the same as in the battle of Westkamp and Abarosa. The car behind just is a little bit slower on the straight than the car he's trying to catch, so it will create a bit of a gap there. So it's quite an even battle there. So it's hard to overtake them, but we'll see. It's still, as you said, 2 laps left right now for the leader. So we'll see what happens in those last 2.
Absolutely will. So we've still got 4 dogfights pretty much going on around the track. We've got Westkamp, Abranosa, Natas, Pope, Neubauer, Van der Veen, and I believe it is, if I'm not mistaken, Van der Eyck and Mulders. I'm sure I'll be told in a moment. We can see that Van der Veen's still trying his hardest to get past his rival just ahead in the Mercedes. Abranosa also struggling to get past the Audi just in front. Obviously, as we have previously mentioned, the cars behind are the cars that are very fast through the corners, so you can see how quickly they close up. And in fact, there you go, Van der Veen looking for a way down. In fact, there's going to be contact. There's contact there, and Van der Veen is just going to hold his brakes and wait for the cars. In fact, he almost collides with what looks to be the car. In fact, there's a whole host of kerfuffling going on there. That's Milan Duma. So Milan Duma's now just gained 2 places, and that's reckless.
Oh shit!
That's reckless. Pardon the language, but that was very reckless by Van der Veen. That looked almost intentional. Well, I'm sure we'll have a replay. That's controversy right at the end of the race there. The 622 car had nowhere to go and has just been collected by Van der Veen. So we'll see what happens here there's our leader, Patrick Prince, now coming to start his final lap. He in fact has enough time that he could actually stop on track and still finish the race with enough time left. There you go. We are on our white flag lap. In fact, we still the 622 in the gravel trap there. So obviously we've had the previous contact there. We've got the 660 just behind. There goes Duma. Duma goes through, past them both. McLaren is on the inside, on the outside of the turn, and he just turns in, and it's reckless. It's beyond reckless, and I'm sure there will be some stern words had with the McLaren, and equally every driver that's had an incident, there'll be some words said. Mercedes hasn't moved from that spot. Whether he's okay, whether something's happened, I'm sure we'll find out. Obviously not the way we want to end this final round of the season. And meanwhile, Patrick Prince is going to come through just a few seconds behind. He wouldn't have noticed even what happened behind him. But obviously he's going to come up to this waved yellow section now. It's not going to be an ideal situation for him. He's going to come through to win on yellow flags. Obviously, normally in the real world it'd be a double waved yellow. I don't think they've got them quite simulated just yet. But he comes through towards the final few turns now, down towards Crocodiles. Brakes hard, brings it in now. You can see Nelson Abranosa just ahead. He's going to, I don't know whether he's going to slow down or he's just going to go for it. We've got 79 and 78 also on their way towards the end of the race now as well. But Patrick Prince is going to come through the final corner now. There is nobody that's challenged him since the start of the race. Got it, kept it clean. He's done a brilliant job. And here he comes to the line now. Your race winner for round 7 is Patrick Prince.
Amazing drive by Patrick Prince. And here are Denise Pope and Evan Natafs going for the still for the last 2 spots on the podium for Wild Things and the Hondas. So great for them. And also Denise, if she makes it safe around the next corner. She makes it safe through the banana gets the win in M class, which is sadly enough not for her, not enough to win the M championship, with Dauma being P2 in class P7 overall. And the Honda's going side by side over the finish line.
Oh, that was almost a change of position right at the end. 8,000 between Denise and Evan. Obviously a great, I'm sure it's going to look like a great photo at the end there. And Vestkamp does enough to hold off Abranosa. Tom Curtin's going to come in P6, which he'll be happy with. Obviously he had the opportunity for that podium. Just a bit of a bad strategy that has stopped him from getting that. The 622 has finished the race as well. So we're going to have the replay coming up now, and you can see just how much contact's had. Obviously, we're going to try and get some drivers in now for the interviews. In fact, we have...
Yeah, here we saw Van der Linde getting crashed, and I believe his race was almost finished right there at the start, as he didn't come back completely from it.
We are joined by Gav Utley. Hello.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, obviously, we can see some of the highlights here as well. How do we explain it? An action-packed race.
Yeah, an action-packed race for the championship. Seeing it come out the way that for the leading in the championship, the Milan Dauma actually gets the championship from M if it stands now. So he did great to recover from his incidents he had, so to get back to the position where he actually gets the championship, and with some other cars doing pretty amazing. And
absolutely. We are now joined by Patrick Prince. Well, first of all, well done, Patrick.
Cheers. I didn't mean to accidentally join there. I just forgot I had
all good.
Commentary rule.
No, it's absolutely okay. Don't worry, we've already
What
had
happened?
some
I got down the inside on the first corner, and then next thing I know, it's like 5th and 6th that were behind me, and then they took each other out on the hairpin, and I've suddenly just had the whole race to myself.
Well, first of all, well done. What a run.
Yes.
Brilliant job by yourself.
Little bit tight with fuel at the end. I don't know if you saw me going very slow.
Well, I mean, nobody could see you going slow. You pretty much checked out at the start and made that race your own.
Yeah. I should probably have put it on pole in quali. I just couldn't get the lap together. I kept getting like 3 or 4 tenths up because Crocodile was just giving me trouble, and then when I was pushing too hard at the end, I kept invalidating ever so slightly through the S's. So I wasn't too disappointed starting P3 though, because having 2 Porsches ahead, I know they're slow on the straights. The Lambo's got a good straight line speed, so I was thinking I could get them a few laps in, but I didn't expect it right away at the start on the first corner. Just saw the gap and went for it.
Absolutely. Well, it was a brilliant job by yourself. Obviously, it was the last race of the season. Obviously, it was more just an exhibition for obviously the silver drivers such as yourself. But a race winner is a race winner. Does that give you more confidence potentially going into the next season to take a championship, maybe take a few more wins?
Well, it depends if I end up staying in Tier 2, doesn't it? If I get bumped up to the fast boys in Tier 1, I think mid-pack is probably where I'd be. I'd have some great battles in there for sure, but yeah, if I do get bumped up, I think I can say goodbye to race wins for a little bit. But then it depends what car I'm in, because I'm the only person repping the Lambo. And I love the car, and personally I'd say it's got a good bit of speed, but the fact that no one else drives it probably says otherwise. So maybe I need to jump in one of the mainstream cars just to get that little boost that you get when you're in the one everyone drives.
Well, I mean, as far as we're concerned, it's the fastest car out on track today, so can't be too bad.
Nah, I'm well chuffed with that. It's my favourite track in ACC as well, so very happy that it went so well for me.
Absolutely. Well, obviously, if there is another season, will you be back in the Lamborghini then?
It's to be seen. To be seen. I might actually switch to GT4s. I'm yet to decide on that. So
Absolutely. Well, a brilliant drive from yourself. Thank you
Cheers.
very much. Obviously, is there anything you'd like to say to the stream?
Thank you for tuning in. It's nice to actually get the live stream right at the end of the season for the one that works perfectly well for me. If I had any supporters in there, appreciate it. Always enjoy the support. And thank you SSRi for setting this up and letting me join last minute, because I think I joined a week prior to the start of the season. So thank you for letting me hop in at the last second. Very much appreciated. And thanks again, you guys, as well, for jumping into the commentators booth. It's always nice to have it to watch back after. And I definitely will be watching back because I want to see that start. I want to see what happened. I completely missed it in my rear view. So yeah, definitely something to look back at.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Your race winner for round 7 at Kyalami, Patrick Prince.
Cheers, lads. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Well, we're going to bring down now our driver who finished P2 in the silver class, but P3 overall. Welcome, Evan Natas.
Hello. How are you?
We are well. How are you? That was a action-packed race for yourself.
Yeah, that was a sweaty affair, that's for sure. It had some action at the start and then just needed to keep the pace down and fight back through the pack, but managed it.
Absolutely. Well, from your perspective, how was that race start?
I thought the start was good. There was a very aggressive dive on my inside at turn 1, and I thought I don't want to risk a collision there, so I just let him through. And then I tried to make another pass later on in that lap. The gap I thought was there closed very quickly, and I found myself from 2nd to 15th, so that wasn't good.
Absolutely. Well, you fought your way back to P3 in the end, almost overtaking your teammate with the finish at the line. Was that something that was orchestrated in your chat?
We weren't actually on chat, but at the end of the season, I think we both knew it would be a good thing to just finish side by side on the line.
Absolutely. Well, 8 thousandths is as close as you can get. Obviously, Denise doing a brilliant job there to take a P2 in the AM class. Well, P1 in the AM class and P2 overall. Are you proud of your teammate?
I'm absolutely. She's done a stellar job all season. She was actually fighting to get that class victory at the end of the season. I'm not sure if she's made it with the points today, but well proud of her for winning this race for her class.
Absolutely. Well, at the moment, obviously pending steward review, it is unlikely that she will finish at the top. Obviously, I think she misses out by a couple points, but still an amazing drive by yourself, by her, especially with some very fast drivers behind.
Yeah, it was hard fought the entire way, but when at some point in the middle of the race, I knew I had the pace that the Abrunosas had, for example, and we know how fast they are, then I knew I was good for a good finish. It was just down to avoiding as many mistakes as I could.
Oh, also, Evan, as you said, you weren't on chat with your teammates, Denise, at the last point. We were kind of talking a bit. Were there a bit of team orders or strategies by just letting each other go, or was it just hard racing between you two?
No, the fact is that a few laps before the stop at the end of the race, she did let me go because there might have been a potential that I could have gotten the overall win. But obviously, once we saw that that wasn't in the cards, I let her by again, and then we just finished side by side for the pictures.
Absolutely. Well, it was a brilliant job of yourself. Will you be back again next season?
Quite very likely, yes. I think it will. It's been very fun the entire season, so I don't see why not.
Awesome. Well, anything else you'd like to add, Wouter?
No. It was a great race.
Absolutely. Well, anything you'd like to say to the stream before we do say goodbye?
Well, thank you both very much for the amazing job we've been doing with the broadcasting. It's always fun to go and watch it back. And thank you to SSRi for putting this together. And thank you to my team and my teammates, Wild Things Racing. I'm well proud of you guys, everyone.
Well, thank you very much, Evan. We're going to bring one more person in before we do say goodbye. Now, we've just seen in the chat, I've just seen in the chat that the incident that happened right at the end with Tim Neibauer wasn't actually a contact. In fact, we'll get him in to explain himself. So, welcome, Tim Neibauer.
Hey, guys.
Welcome. Well, obviously, the end of the race there was a little bit chaotic for yourself, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, it was quite interesting because we were in a really close battle, Danny and I, and yeah, that was going really well. And unfortunately, he hit me a little bit, but that was not really an issue. I expected it to happen there because he was, yeah, better in the braking zone. But the thing was, in the next left-hander, suddenly the Oculus software, I'm driving with an Oculus headset, by the way, it decided to quit, and I literally could see anything. So I think I hit Danny, but I'm not sure. I only heard the sounds, and all of a sudden I was in the barrier, so without visual.
Absolutely. We were watching it on board, and well, obviously from the cameras, and it looked like a massive incident from you two. But obviously, it's glad to know that you've come out and obviously admitted that it was a technical fault.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't mean to drive him off. Indeed, that would have been a bit. Yeah, that would have been a pitiful action. But yeah, so that's what happened.
Absolutely. Well, it was looking like a good race between yourself and the McLaren. Obviously, next, I'm assuming you'll be coming back for another season.
Yeah, absolutely. The racing is really great. Even also in the tier 2. In the end, I was a bit. In the beginning, I was a bit worried about that, but there are so many great, talented drivers in this tier, and the racing is really great, and it's awesome to see that it's being streamed as well with commentary. So, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming in and telling us what's been going on. Obviously, not ideal for yourself, but obviously you can come back stronger. I'm sure we'll see you on a podium again at some point. Obviously, P2 in the standings. You must be happy with that at least. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, the races were all great. Yeah, it was just really fun, and yeah, I just felt like I had to clarify what happened in the end. It was not on purpose, but yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much for coming in and giving us some of your time. I wish you all the best, bud. Thank you very much for joining us, and I'm sure we'll see you again at some point soon.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much to Wouter for joining me. Did you enjoy that?
Oh, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. We are going to be back, I'm sure, at some point over the summer. I believe there is a summer series in the works. I think registrations are already ready for that. I'm sure we'll see you again very soon. But from myself, from Wouter, from Steve on the cameras, thank you very much for watching. Good evening, good morning, good night from wherever you're from, and I will see you all very soon. Goodbye.